Hello, and welcome to Sports by Compian. My name, of course, is Stephen Compian, and I'm joined here by my co-host, Corey Compian, here in the house amongst us. Corey, how are you today?
Doing fantastic. Living large. I like your shirt. Is this a polo? Is this a button down? What do you got going on
It's
there,
a
Steven?
polo, Corey. I'm a professional, so we try to
Let's
show
see.
up as such. We are
Oh,
joined here by friend of the show and special guest picker this week, people. That's right, resident New England Patriots expert Cooper O'Connell's in the house. Cooper, how are you, sir?
I'm good. It's been quite a while since I've been excited to talk about Patriots football. Usually I'm not excited about it, but since I'm on the Compian podcast, I'm so fired up to talk about how shitty our team is.
Hell yeah, we're excited that you're here to talk about how shitty your team is. Mac Jones all the way, baby.
Absolutely.
Gotta love it. All right, boys. Can you see this stream? All right, cool. Let's hop right into our picks. No further ado, people. We got just serious content for you. And starting off this glorious Week 10 is quite the matchup, guys. Quite the Thursday night matchup right here, boys. We got Carolina travels to Chicago. Two struggling teams. They got 3 wins between them. I think 14 losses, 3-14 overall in this game. One of these guys has got to win. I think it might be Chicago here. What are we thinking?
I'm pulling towards Chicago. I think the new, the late rounder. I forget what his name is, but I think he's out there making some stuff happen with the Bears. And I
Yeah,
think
Bajan.
Carolina has no players over there. Like I can't really name anyone on that roster other than Adam Thielen. So
Oh, and it's a DJ Moore revenge game. I forgot about that. So, what do you think about that, Cooper? Do you think DJ's just going to tear this Carolina secondary apart? Apparently, they have nobody over there to cover him. Everyone's injured.
A revenge game for who? DJ?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the Bears have looked like competent lately, which is better than I thought they would once Fields went down. And I'm not the expert on the Carolina Panthers either. I watched, what I was able to see on Red Zone, where Bryce Young threw two pick sixes in that game. He looked really, really bad. I don't know though. It's to me like there's never a safe time to bet on the Bears ever.
Mm-hmm.
So
No.
if you're looking to get like a little bit of an edge, I would say to bet the Panthers.
Yeah.
I think what you have to consider at this point too is which team is playing for their coach right now, and do they want to play for their coach? I think Eberflus is probably done in Chicago after this year, and down
Yeah.
the stretch, like that becomes a factor in how much these guys give a fuck. And I do not think these dudes want to play for Eberflus. Maybe the Panthers players don't want to play for Reich either, but it just seems like this guy's losing control more and more every week on the Bears.
Well, something I heard on the Pewter Report for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers that's kind of a interesting trend is, it's been a trend for a while now, but you see these new head coaches that are offensive minded be way more successful than these guys who come in as defensive minded coaches. Like it's just not working out across the league. You got Eberflus probably going to be out after this year. Todd Bowles may be out in Tampa. You got Dennis Allen with the Saints may be out. you know, all the best of luck to D'Amico Ryan, but it's just tough. It seems like to be a defensive minded coach in this league.
Well, you can be a defensive minded coach if you have a good quarterback, which I think we're seeing
Yeah.
with the Texans too, and
Mm-hmm.
also in a bigger picture, what we're kind of seeing with the Patriots is that, everything's kind of gone wrong for the Patriots this year. And maybe we can segue into the Patriots Colts game while
It's
I'm
perfect.
talking
Yeah.
shit on them.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, Belichick was always able to build a really good defense because he had the security of Tom Brady being his quarterback. And I think D'Amico Ryans can do something similar with the Texans. I mean, I think Stroud proved that, he's totally belonging of
Oh my
being a
God.
starting quarterback in the NFL. He's a lot better than Bryce Young. He's a lot better than fucking Mac Jones.
Dude, the guy
I
like when
mean,
he threw his I think fourth or third touchdown pass and he just like looked towards the sideline and gave a flex. I was like, holy shit, this kid has arrived. Like this is gonna be scary. Like there's no way you should have that much swagger as a rookie, dude. But he was just tearing that Buccaneers secondary apart like they were fucking children.
Yep. And on the Colts side, I think they're still a pretty fundamentally solid team. Unlike the Patriots, they look super undisciplined this year. They have injuries everywhere, so a lot of inexperienced guys are in roles that they really shouldn't be in. I think the Colts take this one.
Yeah. But what do you think about the long term of this now? There's starting to be some, which I think is absolute madness. People calling for Bill Belichick's head. People are done with Mac Jones. Where do you stand with all this?
I think everyone's overreacting about Belichick. I think he deserves as long of a leash as he can possibly get. I think
Yeah.
it's really easy for people to chalk up an entire 20-year span of success to only Tom Brady, but that's super short-sighted to me. Like anybody who was watching their favorite team from 2000 to 2019 just remembers at some point their team getting totally stonewalled by Belichick's defense and the Patriots just being the ultimate roadblock to,
Yeah.
basically every team in the AFC succeeding besides like the Ravens and, a couple other teams sometimes. So to me,
Also,
like, even if we suck this year and finish like 3 or 4 wins, I think Belichick shouldn't get fired. I think
No.
he deserves another chance.
Of course
It
not.
might be completely delusional of me, but another thing I'll say is that I think Robert Kraft probably sees it differently. I think he is more than willing to make a move now that ticket prices are dropping. That's the one thing he really cares about.
Wow. That'd be extremely
also,
foolish of him.
look at how many players come away from the Patriots being like pro ballers. They get signed to these monster deals, they go elsewhere, and then they just are average. Like they kind of suck. And it's because they're put in the right position to succeed when they're at the Patriots. They go elsewhere and they're just they're not bad players, but they're not, like the same Pro Bowl caliber that people signed them for.
Coaching matters,
Yeah,
and it
that's
matters at that
definitely
level
true.
too.
It's definitely true for defenders. I think for offensive players, it's a little bit different because, like, dude, what fucking pisses me off is that Jonnu Smith is so good on the Falcons. He was completely
Hey,
useless on the
hold on.
Patriots.
Is he so good on the Falcons? Like, let's not get crazy. He's still
He is, dude.
below
Like, he's actually
average.
a really solid player.
Has he been?
They
What are
they
his
like him
stats?
better than Kyle Pitts for some
Which is
stupid reason.
crazy, dude.
He's worth a fantasy roster spot as a tight end. To me,
Okay.
that's good.
Okay, no, you're right.
He was
That is
never
good.
worth a roster spot when he was a Patriot.
He's been terrible for years now. I guess I'm not paying attention, John. My bad, bro. But yeah, he has not been impressive since coming into the league so far. I mean, I don't even know how he got such a big deal coming from the Titans. Like, he had like one good year with them.
He had a really good year with the Titans. He was getting in the end zone a lot. He spent
Yeah.
2 years with the Patriots and was completely useless. And to the naked eye, you see this guy get the ball, and you're like, this guy looks so talented
He
in the
does.
open field. He's fast. He can break tackles. He can read the field well. So why is he not getting the ball more? Maybe he's not the best route runner, but to me, like seeing what he did in Tennessee and what he did in Atlanta versus what he did in New England says a lot more about New England than him.
Yeah, I agreed. It does seem like they're struggling to get the best other players now. And yeah, like I said earlier, coaching matters. So speaking of swagger, CJ, he goes in to face a very hot Bengals team right now. I had to go Bengals here. Joe Cool is kind of seeming to find his groove right now. That Bengals defense is scary. Houston should have lost last week. If
Well,
the
they're done
Buccaneers
taking their
Buccaneers
4 weeks
secondary is
off.
terrible.
Dude, I had the Texans on that, and then after the podcast, you swayed me, and I went
Ah.
Bucks, and then
I didn't even go Bucks on that one. I think I did go Bucks on that one. Yeah.
Yeah, I was swayed. I let my emotions get the best of me. But this time, yeah, no, I'm definitely going Cincinnati just because they are like a Super Bowl team. They have a handicap where they have to go AFK for the first 4 games of the season, and then they start playing football.
Oh, okay. Seems to be a good
I
strategy.
wouldn't count out the Texans in this one, honestly.
No.
I think the Texans are obviously not the better team in this matchup, but the Bengals, T. Higgins and Jamar Chase are both banged up right now. And seeing what Stroud did to the Buccaneers defense last week, I mean, there's not really a limit to what this guy is capable of. So Joe Burrow, if both of his top weapons are not 100%, that really could slow the Bengals offense. And there's a chance that maybe they can't keep up with the explosiveness that CJ Stroud displayed last week. Gun to
Good
my head, I'm
point.
taking the Bengals though. I'm just
Yeah.
being devil's advocate.
No, that's a good point. It's going to take I think it's going to be if CJ pulls that off, that's going to be a signature win for him of the year for sure.
What's the spread? What's the spread on that?
I don't have it in front of me. It can't be that high. If it's 7, I might take CJ. I might take the Houston to be under 7.
Yeah.
Anyway, another 50-50 game. We got New Orleans traveling to Minnesota. Minnesota got me last week, but I mean, I gotta kind of stick with New Orleans on this, just because Josh Dobbs is like still figuring out that system down there with Minnesota. I think there was a lot of opportunities for Wentz to win that game. They probably should have. Arthur Smith, another guy on the hot seat. So yeah, I don't know. I'm going New Orleans with this one.
Yeah, the Falcons have looked really bad the last 2 weeks against two quarterbacks who started in kind of unfamiliar territory. I guess less so for Will Levis because he was part of the team the entire year, but
Yeah.
they got smoked by a rookie in his first start,
Yep.
and they get smoked by Josh Dobbs in his first start with an entirely new offense.
He didn't even know his teammates' names, and he just sat there throwing them touchdown passes.
Yeah, seriously.
It's only. Wait. Shit, I lost it. It's 6.5.
Oh, okay.
It's plus 6.5 for the Texans or for the Bengals.
Could be an interesting bet there. But are you guys going New Orleans in this game then, or what are we thinking?
It was a tough one.
What's Jefferson's deal?
Who? Jefferson, he's still out.
I landed on the Minnesota just because. Oh wait, no, I landed on New Orleans, but I'm kind of leaning towards Minnesota just because Dobbs does seem to be pretty good, and he's finally around like a real team. Like anytime the Cardinals did anything dangerous, it was because of him. So he's kind of just stepping into an already good team, and they showed no signs of slowing down last week. So, and also I don't think the Saints really know what the fuck is going on. They're kind of just stumbling through this year. So
And try starting Derek Carr on your fantasy team and him get you like 16 points, which frankly what I've gotten out of my quarterbacks isn't even the worst I've gotten out of my quarterbacks. But like you see a touchdown pass being thrown by a Saint, you're like, okay, sweet. No, Taysom Hill throwing the touchdown pass. It's like, can we stop with this nonsense? What is going on over there?
I think the Saints are a playoff dark horse,
Yeah.
in development right now. I think they're not there right now, but I think by the end of the season, they look like a team that can play a really clean game, and they've closed out games efficiently this season.
Yeah.
There's teams that are average, but they close out games, and then there's teams that are average and they fuck shit up consistently. And the Saints look like an average team that can close out games. And maybe a little bit more time with Derek Carr, getting familiar with everything. I don't know, man. I think they have an easy schedule. I think they're going to get a home playoff game. They probably get Dallas round 1,
Yeah.
I think they could at least make it to round 2 this year. I really like the Saints. I think they're super underrated, and I think they're going to probably beat the Vikings.
Well, I guess that means you think they're taking the South, which this is the deciding week for the Bucs.
Absolutely.
It was a must-win game last week, but this is absolutely a must-win if we're going to have any chance of the division. But we'll get to those sorry losers down there in Tampa in just a hot minute, because first we got to talk Green Bay traveling to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Personally, I don't know what to think about this game. I guess in hindsight, we really should have gone Packers last week with all the injuries going on. Is Matt Stafford out for the season? I don't even know what's happening. But they're starting guys like Ribbon, which I'm confused where I've seen Ribbon play before, but yeah, he's struggling. They just signed Carson Wentz. So yeah, in hindsight, I don't know what we were thinking, not picking the Packers, but I think they're not a very good team. And I still got to go Pittsburgh here, who seems to be handling the bad to average teams. They seem to be doing enough to beat those guys. Any objections?
Yeah, I agree. I don't really think Green Bay is all that much to write home about.
No, Jordan Love still doesn't seem comfortable in that offense, and Matt LaFleur might not be a real head coach. He might be a figment of our imagination.
No, I think he's a good head coach. I think they made the wrong choice with Love. At least it looks like that right now. Maybe I'll be wrong about that in the future. I mean, do you think long term Love stays a Packer or what? After this year? if he keeps
What's
playing the
is
way
he
he's
on
playing.
contract next year, or is he on contract next year, or is this his last year on contract? No, he's got one more year, right?
I don't know what his contract is, but he might get demoted to backup duties if he can't
I mean, but who you're
uplift the
bringing
team.
in? Unless you think like
Kirk
apparently
Cousins.
this is a pretty rich Kirk Cousins is an interesting rental option for sure. Guys
I think
used
he's
to
a
play in the
Falcon next year.
I could see it. I could see he could go to a lot of productive offenses. Like heck, the Bucks could even look at him. Who knows? But anyway, getting to those Tampa Bay Buccaneers. By the way, I don't know, man. I was so torn up on this game, and I was like, no, I'm going Tennessee. I'm tired of these Bucks. I've lost my hope in them. But I mean, based on that last week, as painful as it was, the offense seemed to have finally woken up. They were suddenly like, okay, we're going to play some football. And granted, the Texans had a bunch of injuries, including MJ Stewart comes on to replace the injured player, old Tampa Bay Buccaneer. That's why I bring this up. But anyway, comes on the field. One play later, the dude's injured and he's off again. So they were down safeties. They lost their kicker. Shout out Aguna Wawe, kicking a 27-yard field goal or something. Just a random special teams player. But what I'm trying to get at with all this is the Buccaneers offense finally showed up. So if the defense can go back to doing what we were doing before, where, hey, we give up 1,000 yards, but at least we can get a couple interceptions and give our offense a couple more possessions, the Titans aren't good. They got a rookie quarterback. I mean, rookie quarterbacks always tear apart the Bucks for some reason, but I don't know. I think we could win this. It's a must-win. We have to. So there's a lot of veterans on that team who I don't think are ready to call it a year.
Me, I see two teams who are like in super similar situations right now. One loss for either of these teams is probably going to send them down a dark path for the rest of the season.
Mm-hmm.
Two quarterbacks who, are unpredictable, I guess. I don't think Baker's awful or anything, but you never know what you're going to get with him. To me, I wonder, like, what head coach will get the most out of his team in a situation like this, and I think it's Mike Vrabel who'll get the most out of his team.
That's a fair bet. That is a fair bet because it is really down to bare bones, and Bowles is kind of like starting to call out the players a little bit. The players themselves, to be fair, like I've called out Carlton Davis hard on Sports by Compy, and rightfully so. The dude had a terrible game, and he owned up to it. I was listening to a press conference of his, and he didn't bullshit at all. He completely took it right on the chin. I let down my team. I let down the fans. I let down the city of Tampa. He got passionate about it, guys. And this is a guy making a lot of money there at corner. He knows he needs to play better. So, I don't know. I'm hoping that whole team will kind of have a wake-up call and be like, guys, we've lost 4 games in a row, and we're better than this. So who knows? I'm taking Tampa, but I'm a homer, so probably not to be trusted. Where are you guys going?
I too am going Tampa. I don't believe that the Titans are a real team yet. They haven't done enough to be a real team.
Fair. Arguably the Bucks haven't either, but here we are. Anyway, moving on. We got another one here. We got the Jaguars and we got San Francisco. Now, the majority are going San Francisco here. I think they're coming off a 4-game losing streak. Deebo Samuel is still questionable. Deebo Samuel. I don't know. I think the Jaguars are hot right now. Trevor Lawrence is. They beat the Bills, which I don't think a lot of people thought they were going to do that. I just think this is a pretty good Jaguars team. If that defense can show up and put this team into positions, I could see them getting the win. So I'm going Jacksonville here.
They got tested by a team at this level, I think, once when they played the Chiefs. I don't know if they played anyone else that's really on that level this season. But didn't they beat the Bills this year?
They beat the Bills. Yeah, they beat the Bills.
Yeah. But I wouldn't even say Buffalo's on that level either at this point.
Buffalo's a mess right now, but yeah.
I think that the 49ers are going to destroy them. I think the Niners are coming off of a bye week. Brock Purdy, the situation with his concussion was in the air. I think that he probably wasn't 100% when he was playing. You don't come back from a hit like that in a week unless either you, A, weren't concussed, or B, are rushing it. I think that they're going to take this time to regroup and really just put the shellacking on the Jacksonville Jaguars.
What do you think, Corey?
I'm going 49ers. I think they, like you said, they don't have as much firepower around them, but I think they don't make sense, but they still just make things happen,
Yeah.
they're just too solid of a team to say that they're out.
They did
especially
just trade for Young as well. But I think I'm still
Yeah.
sticking with this wild pick. I like the Jaguars right now. They're on a winning streak. They gotta get it done against a good team, though. This is a hell of a test for them. Cleveland travels to Baltimore. We've mentioned this is a division game, so it's kind of up in the air. But at the end of the day, I don't think Deshaun Watson's going to be able to get it done against this Baltimore's defense. And, man, Baltimore just looks scary as hell right now.
I think it's going to be a super low-scoring game. I think Lamar Jackson's going to struggle, too, for what it's worth.
Yeah?
Yeah, divisional game. I think the Browns' defense is so fucking good. Myles Garrett's definitely a DPOY candidate.
Oh, my God. He's playing amazing.
Yeah, and I think it could look a lot like the Steelers-Ravens game did earlier this year, where I think the final score was like 15-10 or something, and the Steelers ended up winning.
Yeah.
It really depends. But at the same time, if Lamar plays well and wins this game, then he's probably the MVP favorite, too.
How about
Another narrative. Yeah. Because the MVP has been like, there hasn't really been a clear one because it seems like the two best players have been Tyreek Hill and Christian McCaffrey, but no one wants to give the quarterback award to a guy who isn't a quarterback. So
that?
it could be Lamar Jackson.
Rightfully called out, man. It's ridiculous. It's literally a quarterback award.
Tyreek Hill is easily the best player in the NFL right now.
I
probably
agree.
not going to win the MVP.
Yeah, no, I would have to agree with that. The dude's
done it on two teams also.
He's already at 1,000 yards, or was over that before last week. So yeah, he's a menace.
Couldn't have happened to a
Brown's
better
also
guy
just
too.
right behind him though.
Oh, that comment, Cooper. That was so good.
All right, here's a hypothetical. Would you guys rather be Tyreek Hill's kid or Michael Vick's dog?
Oh shit!
This is a serious question.
I'm gonna go Tyreek Hill's
I mean,
kid.
the kid, 100%.
I mean,
And I'd be the kid. Yeah.
A, you don't die.
like...
B, you got killer genetics. C, you have a shitload of money.
But Michael Vick does have a dog now, and apparently he has a good relationship with it. I think he's rehabilitated, so I'd be Michael Vick's current dog.
I'd be Michael Vick's current dog if that's an option for sure. But anyway, very interesting hypotheticals. Atlanta Falcons traveled to Arizona. I don't know who Arizona had at quarterback last week, but the dude threw for under 70 yards and just looked scared the whole time he was out there. So I'm definitely going to Atlanta on this one. Carolina traded Josh Dobbs, so they've officially thrown in the towel for the year. Yeah.
Yeah, as much as I think the Falcons suck, I just can't justify betting on Arizona.
No, they're a mess right now. Corey, are you taking Arizona?
Definitely not.
All right, cool.
Definitely not. They don't have a single guy over there.
That's not true. Poor Buda Baker is still over there.
They also got Connor, I guess. Isn't Connor hurt, though? I don't think they have many guys over there.
No, there's not many guys. We don't need to go through the handful of guys they got. But we do have the Detroit Lions traveling to the Chargers. Chargers have pulled off a couple wins here, but I think their winning days come to an end here against a hot Detroit Lions team. Yeah, they just look too scary. I don't know if anyone's gonna really stop them right now.
Lions for sure. The Chargers, they're a good football team, but the Lions are just better, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think a lot of people are stopping the Lions.
Who's Detroit lost to this year besides Seattle?
Baltimore and Seattle. And the other game we have is the Cowboys versus the Giants.
Hold on. Let's hold on. Wait.
Yeah.
So they lost to what? Who's the best quarterback Detroit's beaten?
Patrick
Mahomes. Question.
Pat
They beat Mahomes week 1.
Yeah.
I don't count that because Kadarius Toney dropped like 8 catchable first downs that game.
You're not wrong. That was goddamn. That was a bad game. I totally, man.
They kind of beat themselves. Yeah.
God, that was a bad game, and he hasn't done anything this year because he's a terrible receiver. I've been a very, very big advocate about how Kadarius Toney's not real.
All right, so let's see. I got their schedule here. They lost to the Ravens. They beat Tampa. They beat the Raiders, but Raiders was a little bit close. They beat the Panthers. They beat the Falcons. They beat the Packers. They lost to Seattle. They beat the Chiefs. And then the rest of these are preseason.
Wow. That's an
I'm going to say
that's
that
an
we don't really
interesting
know
point.
who Detroit is.
That's
That's
fair.
an interesting point. Yeah. Huh. Hadn't really thought of that.
I think we
Cooper.
don't know who Detroit is yet.
It's a good
True.
point. It's a
They
good
did
point.
lose to the two good teams they played.
Well, besides the Chiefs, but yeah, I guess you could say that was Chiefs week 1.
But also, it's like the Chargers. They're in perfect balance at all times. Like I think there's some stat that what's his name? The quarterback from the Chargers,
Herbert.
He has, like, since he entered the league, as many wins as losses. He's just always, keeping that really even.
That's pretty funny. That's an interesting stat.
Perfect balance at all times.
So Cooper, are you going the Chargers here? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I think the Chargers. I think that they've proven that they can win on all 3 phases of the game.
Sweet.
At least lately, which I think is pretty important. Their defense is super suspect, but their pass rush with Khalil Mack can get really hot sometimes. So it's going to depend on that. Like, there's an equal chance that Penei Sewell just locks down Khalil Mack. Actually, the more I think about it, the more I don't want to take the Chargers. I think they're probably going to beat them. But, like, the Chargers, special teams has looked okay lately. I think that's respectable in a matchup like this, something to consider. I think outside of their pass rush, their defense isn't a lot to write home about, though. So that's probably where the difference is in my mind. Like, I think Goff could run it up on them with that offense. And maybe Jahmyr Gibbs can get a few touches in the process, for my fantasy team.
That'd be
It's
nice.
been interesting to see his career arc so far.
Yeah. Yeah, interesting indeed. And what's the other guy over there? Jameson Williams. He's struggling.
Yeah, J-Mo.
Anyway, so yeah, that's Chargers Lions. But we do have the Cowboys hosting the Giants. As we mentioned off camera here, I don't think too many people are believers in Mr. DeVito. Not to be confused with Danny DeVito. Oh wait. No, it is Danny DeVito. So then isn't it like
It's Tommy.
Tommy DeVito. Yeah, I'm sorry. So not to be confused with Danny DeVito. See how confusing this is, Corey?
I'm confused for you.
But either way, Tommy DeVito, negative yards passing last week, as Cooper Connell pointed out offline.
That was 2 weeks ago. Wait, hold on. Let me pull it up.
Yeah.
I want to see if I'm right about that.
Yeah, fair
I just
enough.
want to verify.
But yeah.
Yeah, hold on. So against the Jets, the conversation about Tommy DeVito and Danny DeVito we're having right now, Danny DeVito had more passing yards that week than Tommy DeVito did, and Tommy DeVito played in an NFL game. Danny DeVito had 0 passing yards because he was on his couch or shooting a commercial for Subway or something,
Uh-huh.
Danny DeVito.
Danny DeVito had 0 passing yards. Tommy DeVito had -1 passing yards. Fooled by Danny DeVito.
Oh,
no.
no.
Did he?
Not against the Jets. I'm looking at the Jets game. He went 2 for 7 for -1 yards and 2 sacks with a 15 QBR.
Let's go. So Tommy off to a rough start in his career. I don't think it's going to get better with Michael Parsons coming up in his face. The Cowboys probably should have beat the Eagles last week. They had plenty of opportunities to do so, and just couldn't quite get it done.
The easy games, though. We lose the hard games and the really easy ones. The intermediate we're fine with, but it's the hard ones and the really easy ones that we lose.
Gotcha. But I do think they're going to get this one done at home. Anyone have any objections to that?
Nope.
I don't think anyone's in that 2%, not even Giants fans.
Fair enough. We got the Commanders traveling to Seattle. Commanders did find a way to get a win last week, and Sam Howell's not looking bad, but Seattle's got to bounce back after only putting up 3 points on the board. I think Geno is not going to let that happen again. I think they find a way to get this done against the Commanders defense that, as we mentioned last week, is traded away like all their players.
Yeah, I was going to say, if they didn't clean house last week, then I probably would have taken them to beat Seattle this week. But I could see Kenneth Walker just having an I am him game with the depleted Washington D line,
Yeah, I can see that
It's
as well.
the thing with Washington though is their offense is like sneakily pretty good. I think
Yeah,
Sam Howell's developing into a really solid quarterback.
And Scary Terry's over there,
So
man. That guy's been just like quietly good since he entered the league. Just on a
yeah,
pretty bad team.
yeah. But I don't think it's
I'm
doing
taking
enough.
Seattle overall though.
I'm still
Yeah.
taking Seattle, yeah. But it should be a good game. Should be a
I
good one
really
there.
thought that the Patriots had them last week whenever it was like they traded away, the farm and the
Yeah.
Patriots we assumed were still going to be the Patriots, but I mean it was a close game at least.
That's the story of the Patriots. They just blow every close game for the most part, except for the time that I bet against them. The one time I bet against the Patriots, it was in my suicide pool when they played the Bills, and I was like, well, we haven't beaten the Bills in like 4 years. This is the worst team I've ever seen for the Patriots. There's no way it's gonna happen. And of course, it fucking happens. The one time I closed the game out was to lose my suicide pool for me.
Oh,
So
checks out.
the football gods have a funny way of mocking you, you know?
They do. They
They think it's
absolutely do.
really funny. They think it's really funny to like watch you feel like an idiot about everything. So
Oh, for sure. I've bet on the Buccaneers so many times and they never win. But like you said, the couple times I bet against them, suddenly just pull it out. It's like, okay, great, terrific. All right, so Las Vegas hosting the Jets. The Jets looks atrocious on offense last week. I don't think Zach Wilson figures that out in 1 week, and these Vegas Raiders are suddenly playing inspired football.
I'm hammering the Jets.
I'm
Yeah?
going Jets.
Yeah.
You guys
I
both
think
going Jets, huh?
The Jets
I-
defense is so good
I think
against a rookie quarterback.
the Raiders were gonna have their like vengeance game. They got all that magic from the bringing up the bench QB, but or the backup QB. But you can't harness the power of the backup QB for multiple games in a row,
This is a
Yeah,
good
and
point. But do you guys believe that Zach Wilson is going to get it done against a pretty good Raiders defense?
I think if he scores like 17 points, that counts as getting it done. The way that I see this game
You're
going for the
not
Jets
wrong.
defense.
100%.
Yeah.
That's a good point. I'm sticking
The
Raiders
Jets-
though. Every time I've
Like the Jets
changed
really
it.
were really the only thing that changed from them being like Super Bowl contenders was they lost Aaron Rodgers and they have Zach Wilson, who's kind of trash, but it's not like they're up against a dominant force of the team, it's the Raiders.
This is a good point. This is all good points. I am sticking with the Raiders though. I feel like every time I change my pick on air, it never works out. But we got the Bills hosting Denver to wrap up this Week 10. A lot of people, certain shows I listen to frequently, upset that this is the primetime Monday Night Football game. I mean, it is what it is. You got Josh Allen on primetime again. Hopefully he'll be entertaining. I do think he gets it done against against Denver, but maybe this line should be a little closer than 4-96 because, I mean, Denver just beat the Chiefs. I mean, it was, flu game or whatever, but they seem to be playing a little bit better football than what we saw them against Miami, obviously.
Yeah, no, I think this is going to be closer than people think. I think Denver, at least the last couple of weeks, it seems like, well, they just came off a bye week, but the week previous, I think they were like,
That
they
was
beat
flu
some-
game. That was flu game. That's when they beat.
That's
That's
flu
when they
game.
beat that's when they beat the Chiefs.
I still think it'll be relatively close, but I'm taking the Bills for sure.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, these are two frustrated teams right now. I think they're both playing probably below what they think they should be playing at. The Broncos are starting to show more promise as of recently than they did to start the season. They have come a long way since giving up 70 to the Dolphins, but to me, that tells me that it's a team full of quitters. And I think in a close game where both teams are pissed off and frustrated and probably making mental mistakes like they have all year, I trust the Bills' ability to bring it together a lot more than the Broncos. And I'd also trust their big playability a lot more too,
Yeah.
Any like 50-50 bounce will probably go in favor of the Bills just based on like their talent and explosiveness that the Broncos don't have.
Agreed. Well, boys, that just about wraps up our Week 10 pick'ems. Corey is, of course, climbing the ranks. He has now passed Mr. Anderson as well, despite missing the first couple weeks.
I just missed the first week.
Just the first week. I am holding strong there in third place. Dan now has a 2 or 3 game lead over Taylor, one of the two. So shout out to Dan the man, literally leading the
He only has
pod.
one over Taylor.
He has one over Taylor. I was wrong before, but we all know Taylor doesn't know football anyway. So I'm sure Dan will continue to stay in that first place. Thank you to our guest Cooper O'Connell, of course, Patriots resident expert. Just to wrap up and get your final thoughts about this, Cooper, assuming we're picking in the first top 10 or so, do you have your eye on a quarterback? I mean, let's take off Caleb Williams. Let's take off the kid from North Carolina, Drake. He'll probably be gone. Are you looking at Penix? Do you like what you see in Bo Nix? Or do you think it's time to move on from Mac Jones?
If we take a rookie quarterback and put him in the situation that Mac Jones is currently in, we're just going to see the same thing that happened to Mac Jones. We made Mac Jones a worse player. Like the Patriots as an organization failed Mac Jones, and they're going to fail the next guy until they prepare him properly to be an NFL quarterback. So if that requires us riding it out with Mac for another year while we build depth, offensive tackles, receivers,
Yeah.
Give him what he actually needs to succeed in a real offense. Keep Bill O'Brien for another 2 years so we can actually build a consistent offense with this repertoire. We can't take Penix or Drake May or whoever and put him in this situation and expect him to succeed,
Yeah.
We refuse to develop Mac, and if we put another guy in the same situation, we're going to be having the same conversation 4 years later, So to me, I'm okay with keeping Bill and riding it out with Mac for one more year to hopefully make the right decisions in the draft. But obviously, with where we're at right now, a lot of Patriots fans are not faithful that we're going to do so.
Yeah.
A lot of bad draft choices have been made in the last couple of years, and that's kind of why we're at where we're at now. So people are calling for Belichick's GM duties to be stripped, and I can't really blame them,
Yeah, the GM's duties does seem like he should maybe move on from that, but I think the Pat McAfee show is bringing up a great point. The dude's 72. Is someone really going to walk into that building and be like, hey, bro, so this is what we're going to do with your team? Like, I know you've been drafting for this team for 23 years now, plus coaching them, but now I'm going to come in and tell you that we should do this. Okay?
It's either everything or nothing with him.
Does he draft? I don't think he drafts very well, does he?
He doesn't. He
does at certain positions, and he drafts poorly at other positions, but the last couple of years he's been really heavily scrutinized for not drafting well enough to support Mac.
What's going on with Cole Strange? Is he good? Is he decent? I just remember when they drafted him, everyone was like, "Who?"
He's been playing injured forever, which kind of sucks. So I that kind of counts him as a bust right now. But yeah. I think he has potential to be a really solid player. Last year he started off looking really shitty, and then got a lot better down the stretch. And then this year he's just been not 100%. And another big issue I have with Cole Strange is that we drafted him as an undersized lineman. He is supposed to gain weight to develop more into a guard, and he hasn't gained a lot of weight, which is kind of concerning to me.
Eat some protein.
He's not bulking up the way that we wanted him to bulk up. So
gotta eat up, man. The last question I had for you was, are you standing by your boy Mac with all the kind of dirty stuff coming out about him, twisting ankles and whatnot at the bottom of piles and grabbing nuts, grabbing the balls?
Yeah, I think Mac should do that even more. I think he should really into the villain persona that people are trying to put on him.
Fuck yeah!
I don't think Mac's a bad dude. I don't think he's a dirty player. I think a lot of players.
He's definitely a dirty player. What are you talking about? There's whole compilations of it.
Give me an example.
Whenever he slid and fucking kicked up at the dude's nuts. He twisted another guy's ankle. There's I could send you a compilation of Mac Jones doing dirty
I've seen
shit.
the compilation. I just don't really care about all the stuff. I think there's a lot of nitpicky stuff in that compilation.
I love it.
I think there's one or two. I think there's one or two plays that there's a valid point to be made about, and then the rest of it's nitpicky. Twisting Brian Burns' ankle, that was a non-story. Brian Burns was bitching about that for no reason. Mac clearly thought he had the ball and was trying to make a tackle on him. And Brian Burns went on a crying campaign about it for the next 2 years. And that's what set the tone that moment on was when people in the NFL world were like, "Oh, I guess Mac's a dirty player for that because Brian Burns is pissed off at him."
But he's
So
gone
now
for like
everything
2
Mac
nut
does
shots
gets so
since.
heavily scrutinized.
How many other nutshot stories have you heard about?
You
Like,
send me a list, and I'll look up that and do an audit. Yeah.
Honestly, I don't even care.
The one on Sauce Gardner was complete bullshit. You cannot tell me that was a legitimate complaint that Sauce Gardner had.
all right, so like once coincidence, twice you're starting to see a pattern. Like,
There is no pattern when it's all bullshit. Sauce Gardner was just pissed off because they lost and he played a bad game.
I love the loyalty.
The video is like, if this is Sauce Gardner's nutsack, Mac Jones just like bumps into him like this soft, and Sauce Gardner's like, yeah, man, like I got video evidence right here of literally nothing happening, and he just made the biggest deal about it. But that's the thing. That's how the narrative gets created, man. You know.
Fucking love it. Love the loyalty. I fucking love that. I honestly, Cooper, solid performance out of you here on Sports by Compian. Fucking stuck by your quarterback, stuck by your coach. Fucking weather the storm, buddy. You're a real Patriots fan.
Always will be.
Hey guys, appreciate you tuning in. Make sure you like and subscribe our content because we love doing it. Thanks for supporting people. Sports by Compian out.